Well, this is the dispersal area at Royal Naval Air Station Culdrose. Behind me, the two helicopters operated from here, the Merlin Mark II and the Venerable Sea King. It was a special day for everybody here. His Royal Highness the Duke of York, himself a former military helicopter pilot, arrived fittingly by helicopter to present 9 flying wings. Now they're the badges that airmen and women receive after they've completed their training. Today the 9 men included 3 pilots, 4 navigators and air traffic control staff, as well as some air crew. The Prince presented the flying wings to each of them in turn, spending time talking with them. After that, he addressed the audience here, praising the role of naval aviation and reminiscing about his time here. It was important for another reason, not just because Prince Andrew was here. Today is a turning point for the Fleet Air Arm. Some of the men who got their flying wings will be the last to train specifically on and for the Sea King. Some of the others were the first to specifically train on and for the Merlin. The Sea King is going out of service in 2018. The Merlin Mark II is taking over. Well, after all of the formalities had taken place, His Royal Highness gave me an exclusive interview. I began by asking him why it's so important that he wants to come down here to be part of this day.
Recognising the work that young men and women do for their country in the armed services is very important. But on top of that, I remember when I received my wings, what an important day that was. And so being able to recognise the next generation of pilots and observers coming into the Fleet Air Arm is a very important thing to do. And it's also tinged with some sadness, in the sense that this is the last Wings Parade for those people who are going to go into the world of the Sea King, because the Sea King is coming to an end in terms of search and rescue at the end of this year or the beginning of next. But the bag will carry on for a bit longer until the new one comes in on the Merlin.
So it is a time of history, a time of change. But for the young men coming into the service, what would your advice be to them as they begin their flying careers?
Ooh.
Tricky question.
Well, yes. Well, first of all, I would say enjoy it and make it part of one's of their life. I mean, you can't do a job like this without having a sense of humour, and we've got to retain that sense of humour. But as I said in my words to these guys, we have a tradition of getting the job done in the Fleet Air Arm, but we do it in a way that is not only commensurate with safety, but also with including the work you do with your colleagues. And so my advice to them is really work at the crew development. These aircraft require teamwork to function properly. And that's what I would say is have fun and work at the team.
Just on cue, the two Sea King and the Merlin fly past, the past and the future of the Fleet Air Arm. Great for us to see here today. You alluded, sir, to your time here at Culdrose, a time also when you received your flying wings. Any particular memories that stick out in your mind from your time based here, sir?
I was under training here for a shorter period of time than these people, because in those days we got wings after your basic flying training in 705. So I was still a midshipman, and then I converted and came over here to this squadron, which was 706 in those days, and then carried on through. So it was the same 3 phases of training, but we just got wings at an earlier stage. But from my time down here, I mean, it's things like finding some really good pubs, doing low-level sorties, and finding what it was like to actually fly the aircraft and fight the aircraft. Having learnt to fly across at 705 in the Gazelle, that was a lovely aircraft. But actually the Sea King, you knew you were doing a proper job then, but none of us had any idea of what was round the corner.
Finally, sir, just a word, if I may, on the great relationship the royal family has with our military, going back through the generations and continuing to this day. It really is a great connection there, isn't there?
Well, rightly so. I mean, if you go back in time, the monarch or members of the royal family not only led but fought alongside. And we're celebrating the anniversary of Agincourt at the moment. And one of my forebears was actually killed at the Battle of Agincourt. So you have that sort of history over hundreds of years. And then if you're the second son, in my case, it was either the church or the military, in that sort of traditional way of looking at it. I chose the military, I chose the navy, I chose flying because I believe it was the right thing to do. But the connection is vital because the people who defend our country, both Navy, Army and Air Force, all need to know that they are highly valued and respected people, and that they go into harm's way when the rest of us sit back and watch it on the television. And having been in harm's way, and Prince Harry's in exactly the same position, having been in harm's way, we see it from a slightly different perspective. We understand that connectivity. My father was exactly the same in the sense that he fought during the Second World War, and so that connection is it's like a golden thread that has run for hundreds of years, and I think that is really, really important. And by holding these appointments that we do as Commodore-in-Chief of Fleet Air Arm or in other branches of the armed services, it's a way of continuing that connection and that connectivity, and it gives us an opportunity to see and to learn and to hear the exploits and the work, the incredible work that goes on a day-to-day basis that I'm not sure that many people really truly understand or appreciate.
Thank you very much indeed for your time, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you very much indeed.
His Royal Highness the Duke of York speaking to me earlier on. Well, we've mentioned it's a time of change for the Fleet Air Arm. In fact, over the next 2 years, all of their current airframes will go out of service to be replaced by entirely new ones, the Merlin being one of them, and of course in the fixed-wing field, the F-35B. A time of change marked by a royal visit and a day for those who receive their wings that they'll always remember. Tim Cooper, Forces News, Royal Naval Air Station Coldrose.